Hello, this is Steve Hubbard, and I am the instructor for the Experiential Learning course. And this is lesson 1, and we're going to be talking about an introduction to the PLA portfolio. And I'm going to cover, of course, the process of writing a portfolio, and then talk a little bit about the course as well, of how things are organized. First, I just want to talk a little bit about what is prior learning assessment and how prior learning assessment is completed. Prior learning assessment, there are several ways that students attain credit for their prior learning. And that can be, of course, via portfolio. So you're going to be writing a portfolio. You're going to be reflecting on your work experiences. And when you write that portfolio, then of course we'll be working together and I'll be reviewing it and helping you with writing that portfolio. It will then, once it's approved by me, go on to a faculty advisor, or excuse me, a faculty evaluator, who will look at the course. They, of course, have taught the course that you are challenging, and they will be able to say, yes, if you got credit for this, or no, you did not. Or it may be that they want further information, and they'll have a request for you to complete additional time for you to complete that information. Of course, there's also the evaluation of transfer credit, which many of you probably have already attained as well from other courses that you've taken throughout your career. You can also do college level proficiency exams, or otherwise known as CLEP. Of course, Eileen, who you've probably met with her, Eileen Capone, has probably information about that. If you wanted to go and test out of the course, something that you've already had experience with. And there's also foreign language proficiency exams, which you can take as well to get credit for prior learning. Of course, you can always talk with Eileen Capone about that as well and how to set that up. If you need further information, you can always ask me as well. You can email me and we can discuss on how you want to do that. So here are some benefits, of course, with doing a portfolio. And I had you read Fueling the Race, which I think is a really good sort of description of a study that was done on students who conducted portfolio or prior learning assessment and sort of the benefits, many benefits that are available for students. Of course, in writing portfolios, there's a lot of cost benefit to the student. The only thing you're paying for is this course, which is a true credit course. Once you begin and learn how to write those portfolios, then you can go out and write more portfolios, and you don't have to pay for any more of the coursework or anything like that. You can just write portfolios and hopefully receive credit for those. It also provides time saving for many students. You can save time by doing this, and which is really beneficial for you. You don't just sit through several of those courses. Of course, you can just go in and write a portfolio and get the course completed. We also see better retention and degree completion rates when students create and write portfolios. So if you complete portfolios and you're really good at it, you'll find that you'll be able to finish your degree, which is a good thing. This also helps us with recruiting students at McGee. And it also helps in the McGee division to improve our syllabi review, because we want to make sure our syllabi are very clear so students can write portfolios. And so if it's not clear, we can go back to the instructor and say, students are going to be writing and challenging portfolios based on your course, and the only thing they have is your syllabus. And if your objectives are not clear, then it becomes very difficult. So here's the portfolio process. It starts with that light green color off to the left-hand side of the slide, where it's portfolio advising. And many of you probably already had this. You probably met with Eileen already and have a good idea of what courses you would like to challenge. So that is part of the advising process is understanding what courses to challenge. At that time, you probably completed a syllabus request form. If not, there's one in the resources file in part of this course on the online course. And please complete that as soon as possible so Eileen can get that information for you. There's also then taking the experiential learning course, which you're doing right now. That's in the middle of the top row, and we'll be taking this course so you learn how to write the portfolio. And then there's a portfolio review process. So I'll look through the portfolio as well as Eileen to make sure that everything is there for the portfolio before we give it to the faculty evaluator. And then the faculty evaluator will review the portfolio. They have 3 decisions. They can review it and say that you've made the requirements of the course and you get credit for the course. There's a middle option, which is that they require more information, so they'll ask for revisions. And then the third option in the faculty evaluation process would then be to deny. We find the vast majority of our portfolios do get approved going through this process. Usually students, if they don't feel like they have enough information, really don't complete that portfolio. So once you get that portfolio complete, there's a good process of getting credit. Now, that's not all to say we've had course portfolios that have been denied as well. Once the faculty advisor reviews a portfolio and makes the decision, then the director will review the portfolio, and then the director will then send it on for awarding of credit. Here's one thing that I will keep on highlighting throughout our time, and that is the components of the portfolio. There are 7 components of the portfolio. When you look at the top, it's the title page, which is very simple to do. It's just filling out information, but all portfolios, before they're submitted, must have a title page. We, of course, will do that toward the end of this course, but when we get together in your second semester, that title page is going to be very important that you complete that. That will be part of the portfolio. The second page of the portfolio is a table of contents, which also we have an example and a template that you can use in the resources of this course. The table of contents then lists, of course, the components of the portfolio, which include the other 5 items. The table of contents is also a required part. It's just 1 page of the portfolio for every portfolio. You also must have a signed degree plan. And this is something that you work with your advisor. Many of you probably already have a signed degree plan, but if not, you probably need to do one as soon as possible. And that means getting a meeting with your advisor or emailing your advisor and completing a degree plan. I am requiring it by the end of the week that you do have a signed degree plan, or at least have a degree plan submitted to your advisor. In your degree plan, you're going to list the courses that you're going to be challenging. So that's very important. So when I look at your portfolio, I want to make sure your advisor has approved that you are going to challenge the course that you are challenging. The next component of the portfolio is the autobiography. And we'll have a section that I'll be teaching you about how to write the autobiography. And then there's a syllabus, which you should be writing, or should be have one, or should be requesting the syllabus. Some of you probably don't have a syllabus yet, but make sure you have the form submitted to Eileen to request the syllabus. The second to the last component of the portfolio is, of course, the narrative, and that is the meat of the portfolio. This has to be 8 pages, double-spaced. It has to be 8 pages long, at least. Most narratives are longer than that, much longer than that, probably 10 to 15 pages. The narrative is, of course, an important part, and that's what we'll be discussing throughout this course, is writing the narrative. This is where you reflect on your prior experiences and address the learning objectives and the components and concepts addressed within the course. And then finally, there's documentation. Documentation is an important part of the portfolio, and people often forget it. And it's something that needs to be concluded at the end, and it's listed as appendices. In the narrative, you're going to refer to maybe courses that you've done, memos that you've written, workshops that you've completed, other things like that that have documents that can prove and demonstrate that you've learned something. You want to include that as part of documentation. We'll talk more about that toward the end of the course, but documentation is a way to enhance your narrative. As I mentioned before, this course and part of this course that we'll really focus on is the autobiography, on how to write that autobiography. What's great about the autobiography, once it's written, it will remain the same for the rest of your portfolios. Students rarely change their autobiography after the first portfolio. In fact, it's not recommended to change your autobiography after the first portfolio. Of course, then we'll talk about the narrative and discuss narrative and writing the narrative, and then really the documentation and how to include documentation for your portfolio. So really in this course, we're going to be focusing on these three aspects of the portfolio: the autobiography, the narrative, and the documentation. The rest of the material you probably already have or are in the process of getting. I also want to talk about the structure of this course. We'll be working together for 14 weeks, not counting the September 2nd through the September 5th, that sort of first partial week of classes. So this first week on September 6th is an introduction to the course. Then next week I'll have a few modules and videos to discuss experiential learning, the process and theories of experiential learning. Week 3 we'll have a session or a lesson on writing an autobiography. Week 4 is very interesting. It's a workshop of the autobiography, and that starts September 27th. I'm going to be asking you to write a draft of your autobiography that will be due in the beginning of October. That draft we will then submit to several people. We'll form groups within the course, and I will submit your draft to others in the course who will then provide comments on your autobiography. You will also provide comments on others' autobiography. And that way, it's kind of a way for you to see how other people have written their work and to get a better idea of how to write an autobiography. It also gives you a chance to make comments and see what you really liked and things that maybe the other person can work on, and for you to get comments on your own autobiography. So that way you kind of are working together. We'll do this in small groups of 3 to 4 people. So in that way, you're only reading probably 2 or 3 autobiographies, drafts of the autobiography. Lesson 4 will discuss developing a narrative and the outline, creating an outline of a narrative. That is during week 5. Week 6, we'll workshop the narrative. Again, same thing that we did with the autobiography. And week 7, we'll discuss writing the narrative. And week 8, we'll workshop the narrative. And then week 9, we'll do some individual meetings. That can be by phone, it can be in person, it can be by Skype, however you want to do the meetings. Individual meetings by phone is perfectly fine. We'll just want to touch base to make sure what you're working on and see if I can provide any comments about your narratives. During week 10, we'll discuss using documentation and how you can use documentation to enhance your portfolio. Week 11, again, we'll do some more individual meetings to make sure you're prepared for the final portfolios. And then week 12, we'll do something that's called developing a contract. Since we'll be working again next semester, in the spring semester, we'll want to talk about when we'll have those portfolios due and the process of creating those, and we'll develop those contracts. Week 13, I'll have a short lesson on how to develop the final portfolio and how to put everything together and what it should look like. And then week 14, the week of December 6th, you will turn in your final portfolio. I do want to highlight week 4, week 6, and week 8. Again, these are workshop weeks where you will submit a draft of something that you have written, and I will submit it to 2 or 3 other people. within the course who will provide comment on it. You will also provide comment on 2 or 3 other portfolios. And then you can get feedback on how you're writing your autobiography and read other people's work and see if you come up with some ideas for yourself in writing your autobiography. Week 6, that workshop of the narrative is actually a workshop on the outline of your narrative. So lesson 4, we're going to develop an outline of the narrative that you're going to write. And in week 6, you're going to workshop and work together in developing that outline. Week 8 will be workshopping the narrative, the actual written piece of your narrative. I also want to highlight week 9 and week 11. Those weeks will have individual meetings and discuss your portfolios individually by phone or by Skype or in person. So you do have a degree plan assignment for this week. The degree plan is in the resources section of the online course. So go ahead and make sure you find your correct major, if you're a BA degree or a BS degree, and then complete the degree plan and submit that degree plan to your advisor to be signed. Okay, that's very important. And in the forum questions, you do have an assignment to answer some questions. Please comment in the first section of the reasons why you're taking the course. And after you're done reading Fueling the Race to Post-Secondary Success, I'd like you to answer the question, what do you believe are the most important benefits of prior learning assessment in higher education? All right, well, enjoy the day, and we'll see you in lesson 2. Thank you.